I'm not saying I'm an expert, it's far from it. I had a big off a couple of years ago. My bone tried to make a break for it, and I tried to make it sort of, make love with a tree.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Apex. I'm Archie, and today I'm joined by Merlin McCormack. Merlin is the owner of Duke of London, which is one of the coolest car dealerships in the UK, but it's so much more than just a car dealership. It's a hub for car culture, it's a home for other interesting local businesses, and it's an important part of the Brentford community. Merlin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Archie.
It's all good. This is my first time here, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but I do kind of feel like I'm on the set of a Guy Ritchie movie. And that's a compliment.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a very cool setup you've got.
It has
here.
got a sort of film set finish to it. We were only supposed to be here temporarily, so it's not quite as polished as the new place is going to be. Yeah. But yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate that.
And obviously, it's quite an exciting time for you because you are moving to a new location. But before we come on to that, I'm keen to sort of hear a little bit about how you got your sort of start in the car world and how Duke of London came to be, essentially. Yeah,
so it started out growing up around cars. Mum and Dad always had interest in cars, be it classic stuff or modern stuff. Nothing particularly fancy, but Dad's background's classic car restoration. So he started out at Malle London ward on the production line, building Phantoms and Corniches back in he would have been mid-70s. And when he was 30, so it would be 1990, he started up a business called Romancer Rust, which is a classic car restoration business that's still running today and based on site here. So grew up in the workshop with him, school holidays, summer holidays, sweeping the floors, making tea poorly and making a nuisance of myself. But off the back of that, became a bit more engaged. And then, bought my first car when I was 11 on eBay and flipped that. And then it literally just spiraled from there. Sort of stopped studying, probably should have studied a bit harder. But no, it's good fun.
Yeah, and obviously looking around, there is a sort of, I guess, artistic vibe to this place. Is that very much sort of, is that because it's sort of an extension of you in many ways, or is it a very sort of curated approach? How have you sort of...
Yeah, I think the space itself and the cars, moreover, as things that we like. Yeah. And it's a collaborative effort and coming together. Both the team that I work with, my family, and also Georgia, my other half, has been massively instrumental in the aesthetic of the spaces. Yeah. She won't want to take responsibility for the showroom, she doesn't like it. The new space is all being designed by her and it's going to be phenomenal. And so we've kind of leaned into, I guess, expanding what we see and what we like. Yeah. You've missed all the art, it's all been taken out.
I was good.
I think this is quite literally the very last bit of coverage or anything we'll have of the space. Right, so we're out of here literally next week.
Wow. Okay.
So we're already mid-move.
Yeah. But as far as I'm aware, you do at the moment have a lot of businesses operating out of that space as well. Space as well. Yeah. I think you've got gym, cobblers.
Yeah. So this is all in transition, but a lot of them we're retaining. So we've got all in about 40 businesses that we sublet space out to on the Brentford Riviera, as we've dubbed it. Most of them used to be based in here, but over the last couple of weeks have transitioned into new spaces. We've managed to retain about 90% of our existing tenants, which is we're really, really happy with. And on longer term basis as well. So the properties, we're moving them into buildings that we've taken on a longer term, less meanwhile use scenario than we've had here. And like you say, it's all small local independent businesses, mainly creative, some automotive, so restorers and detailers and things like that as well. And then gym and things like that. The gym's moved sadly onto the other side of the high street. They're not with us anymore, but they're very much still in the vicinity. And we just didn't have anywhere big enough to accommodate them for now. But it's been a nice kind of pooling together of a community in what was quite literally a desolate thing. We were the first thing down here before they'd built all the shishi flats behind us. And this was one of the last buildings standing in amongst a load of rubble when we moved in. So it's been really quite magical to see it organically grow. It owes its success to the likes of the businesses that have been based here.
Is that all part of a sort of grander vision for Duke of London, or is that a sort of longer term?
It wasn't.
Okay.
Frankly, we've
is now.
We've made the whole fucking thing up as we've gone along. Okay. But we've kind of got a bit more strategy behind it now. And the reason we didn't, frankly, bother planning further ahead is we've had this building on a 3-month rolling agreement for the last nearly 6 years. Yeah. So we could only plan 3 months ahead. We've been very open about that with both the public, our clients, and our tenants as well. And with that, we've been able to essentially massively subsidise a lot of these guys in their rent. So we've been able to provide space for people as their first business premises in most cases, or first artist studio, or first restaurant, or and that's been an amazing thing to kind of also incubate these businesses. Not that we've been there and been instrumental in their growth per se, But I think having the facility here has enabled them to exist in a part of West London that would otherwise have priced them out from the off, and where they've seemingly all grown. Consequently, they're now able to take on a sort of bigger commitment on other properties with us, and we're keen to continue to roll that out. And we're still operating way under market rent on our tenancy spaces. It's a business. We have to eat as well, but we try and be as lean with our margins as possible on them to accommodate as many local community members who want to be a part of what we're building.
Yeah,
it's good fun.
I saw you also had a drive. Do you have a drive-in cinema? Is that like still?
yeah, that's one of George's ideas. I can't take credit for that, but Duke's Drive-In. We're hosting another one in Battersea at Ballymore, who own this site, the Brentford project. They've got a site at Embassy Gardens next to the US Embassy.
Oh, wow.
So we've got a big day there in a couple of weeks. Still tickets available, and it's a real nice thing for the car community. That one in particular, we're doing a couple of early day screenings, like morning family children's film thing, and then a lunchtime screening as well, whereby it'll be a kind of deck chair affair with some of our cars that people can rent. And then there's 2 screenings in the evening where you can rent one of our cars or deck chair, but people will also be able to bring their classic cars.
Nice.
And we're restricting it just to classic cars for the car community. We're bound by the confines of the space, as we were here when we used to do them here. But we get 20-30 cars in, everyone sat in their cars, roller skating waitresses round, and try and recreate the whole Mel's Driving thing from American Graffiti. And
it's such a vibe.
It's good. It's really good fun. You should come down.
I think I will. And also, I saw that you were using the space as like people can come and film here. Have you ever had any like interesting things being filmed?
Yeah, I mean, we have. We're listed with quite a lot of locations agency, and Luke, who works with us, is almost full-time managing our film location stuff now. So we've got properties in Brentford and Richmond and in town as well that we look after, either stuff that is ours or we kind of manage for the owners as well. And we've got 2 shoots on this week. It's with the whole filming strikes and stuff. The big jobs sadly have slowed down a bit for the last year now, but that's all coming to a head, thankfully. So hopefully we'll pick back up on that. But generally at the moment, lots of editorial stuff, fashion stuff, and music videos. It's good. It's really. We work with some really, really cool brands, really like amazing stuff. A lot of stuff we're under NDA for, but it's like it's really been another sort of string on our bow. And Luke's done an amazing job managing that, and to have this space again with the cars, that kind of complements it. Obviously, we don't just hire out clients' cars unless we run it past them and got their blessing first, but with our own fleet of stuff, it's been nice to be able to provide a space where the producers can also hire cars as well. So it goes hand in hand. It's worked really well.
And on the car side of things, it's a very, again, eclectic mix with the cars. How do you go about sort of choosing which cars you have in stock? Is that sort of...
I think, frankly, we're not very commercially minded about it, and we probably should be a bit better at that. But we really do just tend to stock stuff that we like, and obviously for people we like as well. We've been very lucky that the business isn't dependent primarily on the sales side of things, and that's afforded us a luxury that we didn't foresee, where we can kind of pick and choose and be a bit more selective, and not to say elitist, far from it. We've got £4,000 Punto Cabriolet over there, awesome thing, green over tan, but we've also got stuff up into the 6 figures that we won't just take on any old supercar or any old whatever. It has to be of a standard and either be to have a story, low mileage, interesting. And we'll sell projects as well. We're pretty open about that. We'll get stuff in, be it in barn fine condition or otherwise, that we can sell on to people who want to enjoy the process of a restoration or back to trade or whatever. So it's massively eclectic.
And obviously, we're very proud to have you as a partner dealer on Custodia as well, listing your cars on there. And one thing I actually noticed when I'm going through the showroom and looking at cars is the way in which you present your cars and the sort of photography. Has that become more important to you over the years, or what's the sort of deal there? Because
I think if you rewind to when like Instagram was starting to become utilised by businesses, probably 7-8 years ago now, I'd always been using that as a tool to kind of promote what we were up to. I guess for bragging rights, that's practically what Instagram was and is. But it was
still is, I think.
Yeah, quite. With a bit of willy waving, and we started to get quite a few inquiries through it, and no one really was taking it very seriously. And I remember being sat at sort of trade dinners with friends in the motor trade, maybe of an older generation, going, we're selling this of that and that and that. I said, fuck off, Nathan. You could see that they just thought we were lying through our teeth. whatever. So we continued to utilise that, and then I realised quite quickly that the engagement was so heavily dependent on the quality of the imagery.
Yeah.
And we've worked with some phenomenal photographers over the years who have helped, frankly, create an identity for our brand. And yeah, massively grateful and indebted to them.
Yeah.
Charles, who works for us now, is our sort of in-house content creator, so he's doing all of our stock photos and more, as well as some sales and marketing stuff, and he has really come on leaps and bounds. He came in here mid-lockdown walking the dog. I think he probably should have been locked up at home. We should have been probably the same, but we were working behind closed doors. And he walked past. We had an MGB sat up on the mezzanine here. It's his dream car. He just moved here from Dubai, French kid, and sort of didn't know anyone in town. And he never fucking left. And 4 years later, he's still here with the MG. He bought the car off of us and ended up with a job. And we've kind of, we've grown together. And he's been absolutely instrumental in, again, kind of
that's really cool,
giving us a stronger brand image.
Yeah, and I have to mention the DBS Casino Royale inspired video you made. So I saw that and I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Were you able to sell, obviously people that have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll link it in the description of this video, but I saw it and I was like, I hope they sold the car off the back of that video.
So weirdly, it was a firm Blood Orange film we made that with, Sam Hendrick, and we had my brother dubbed as Bond, and we had the Brentford cobbler in a dress as the screaming lady being bundled into the back of a Cayenne, and that was really good fun to actually make that. But we got the first edit of it and I sent it to a guy who'd inquired on the car that afternoon we sold cars to before. And before we could even publish the video, he was like, no, I have it. And just off the back of that video. So it was quite a nice, I think he would have bought it anyway, to be honest. But I think that was the tipping point that got him over the line.
Yeah, and obviously, going briefly back to cars, I mean, you are first and foremost a car dealer, right? So what do you make of the sort of current car market at the moment? What's your...
I mean, it's a buyer's market. There's no qualms there. You just got to get on with it and accept that it's cyclical, and we're finding that everything we're selling is hyper price sensitive, and with that stuff we're consigning, majority of what we do sell is on consignment. We do own some of the stock, but a large proportion of it's on consignment, and we're just having to be really realistic and open with our vendors and manage their expectations more than we've ever had to before. And with that, naturally, a lot of people are going, well, actually, I wouldn't take that for it, so apologies, I won't consign it, and that's fine. We are having to work harder for consignments in some respects, but I think as the brand's grown as well, we're very lucky in as much as people approach us more than we have to look for it. So generally, it's just about managing people's pricing expectations. When we price something correctly, we'll know it because the phone will ring. We're gone are the days for now where you put something on speculatively and people phone you up and kick you in the balls for it and take the piss. People won't even bother calling now unless it's deemed to be in the right kind of region for the pricing. I think the likes of the online auction platforms have been a massive help and hindrance in as much as there's no way of everything's so accountable in terms of pricing. It's so easy to go, well, hang on, that one only just sold for that and that one's that. Buying from a dealer, it comes with its benefits naturally from a consumer's perspective, warranties and things like that, a bit of security, but you can't then put, that's not a 20-30% benefit. It's quantifiable, but certainly not as much as people have tried in the past, and you have to reflect that to get stuff sold.
Yeah, no, definitely. Are there any sort of particular segments that you get quite excited about, or?
In terms of cars?
Modern classics or...
I mean, we sell more 67, 68 Mustang Fastbacks and Range Rover Classics than anything, and have them for the last 2 or 3 years. We work with a couple of great suppliers on both marks of those, and we know that when the cars come in, they'll need nominal prep, and we can put our names to them with comfort because the guys that are supplying us the cars are really top of their game. And I think we've got a bit of a rep for that, but equally stuff like this that's a bit more wild card, special interesting bits always get us excited, and harking back to the Punto,
I'll get
someone a very good mate of mine bought that on eBay and spent a disproportionate amount of money on it and never drove it, so it's up for sale. But it's a Concours 90s Punto Cabriolet for probably a quarter of what it would cost you to do. So just interesting stuff, really.
Really is. I'm always looking at Porsche 99. It's not very original, but like the 996s seem to be a big
great value.
Well, I was going to say, what's your take on those? Is that sort of
as long as they've had the RMS, IMSE bits done, they're great. One of the lads that works for us is looking at one at the moment, C4S. For me, I think the C4S is the prettiest of the lot.
Yeah.
With the big bum and the grills on the rear wing, rear bumper edge. Sorry, and they're for 20 grand for a nice one. It's kind of a lot of car for the money. Yeah. But just get them inspected first because they can be eye-watering to own.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's cheap to buy, but maybe not so cheap to run or look after. But I'll keep looking, and if you get one in, then
we get them through. Yeah, we do get them through.
And I guess what draws you to a car from a personal ownership point of view? I know you've had some pretty interesting cars that I'll come on to, but what's your sort of
I think there's. Yeah, I always get asked like, "What's your favourite car?" And because occupational hazard, but I don't have one. It's impossible. You know what it's like being kind of in the trade. It's every time you see something, we're like fickle fucks that go, "Oh, what about that one? Oh, what about this one?" And I think there's a part of certainly me and I guess as well a lot of our customers who there's lots of things they want to try, and you don't need to own them all at the same time. So it's kind of progressing your way through a kind of ideology more than it is, and more often than not, it is an ideology. I had this conversation with a friend yesterday. He's just consigned his Audi RS2 with us, and I was referring to I had a 190E Cosworth Mercedes 2.3 16 thing manual in smoke silver in like the sort of Senna spec. And it was one of those cars that I bought as a project, spent a fortune on restoring, was really excited to finally get in it and drive it, and within the first sort of week of driving it was kind of like, it's very good, but it's slightly underwhelming. It's not fast, it's not, and I don't know why in my head, I guess the racing connotations and associations of the car led me to falsely, subconsciously think that it was going to be some sort of hot thing. It was a very nice car, but it wasn't thrilling.
Set your world on fire.
Quite. And there's like a part of me that wants to get into stuff, try it out, see if it's nice. And there's also stuff that's really surprised me. It's the cars that I've bought thinking I'll keep it for 5 minutes and just fallen head over heels with it, like I could never sell this. So it's funny the ones that catch you out.
Well, I know you do have a Testarossa, don't you?
That's one of the cars.
So there wasn't always brown. Well, you painted it. Did you paint it brown? What's the
so it's a German supplied Euro left-hand drive 90 car. So 5 lug late car. Went to look at loads a couple of years ago, and that was the only one on the market at the moment that kind of ticks all the boxes. It wasn't the colour I wanted. I really didn't want a red one. And everything else that was out there was like a yellow one on the market with blue leather, which
that's punchy.
I can get away with a lot, but that was even by our standards that was a lot. And then really low mileage cars that just felt kind of hard and crispy, and also I knew I was going to put loads of miles on it, so it didn't warrant paying a premium for one. Really wanted a white one. Weren't any white ones available in the country at the time. That could have been bought for sensible money at least, and so bought a Rossa Corsa car, sent it off to the guys at Lichfield, and they did their PPS. So I completely misunderstood the product when I had it done, but essentially they spray a peelable PPF base coat and then paint the car conventionally on top. I thought it was all one product that just sprays on, but I've completely miscut, which is great because I got it back and I was like, the finish on this is like car paint. I can't believe it doesn't look like a wrap or whatever, and it's Nocciola, an old Daytona colour from the 70s. So it's like a hazelnut,
I've seen pictures of it on Instagram. It's
I never did a Testarossa in it, and I just I saw a Morone one at Pebble Beach a couple of years ago in auction. It looked great, but it's just a bit dull. And this really pops in the light and all sorts. So they did an amazing job with that, and it's preserved and essentially PPF'd over all of the original red paint underneath it. So when I come to sell it, if I ever do, I'll peel it off and there's a red car underneath it. I think colour changing it formally, painting it would have been a little bit hindering on its value.
But that's one of the cars you've really sort of fallen in love with.
I intended to keep it for summer, and I've had it 2 years and changed the colour on it. So it's off having new carpets put in it at the moment with Unrivaled. I'm smitten with that car. I'm off to Italy in it in a couple of weeks, and done 20,000 kilometres in it. I love it.
Is it true that you turned up to Retromobile in a 90s Bentley Limousine with diplomatic flags and leopard print carpets on? What's the? That
was good fun. I had we had dinner on the second night with a friend of ours who had a stand at the show. He's like, "You're such a wanker." I was like, "Why?" He goes, "Well, my whole Instagram feed, I spent all this money on this stand, shipped all the cars out. My Instagram feed is just full of your fucking Bentley." So it worked. That wasn't the intention. The boys had a really good month in January, and I said to them, "Look, if we hit a target by the end of the month, I'll take you to Retromobile." And they smashed it mid-month, and I was like, "Fuck, okay." And we carried on to we set our best January record, and I thought, they've worked their asses off this month. So unbeknownst to them, I sent one of the lads up to pick up this 6-door Bentley Limousine that had been a funeral car its whole life. So it was a bit ominous. We breathed some life into it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I didn't tell him where he was going or what he was picking up. I swore him to secrecy not to tell the other boys for a couple of weeks. And he brought it back down. We trimmed it with leopard print carpets, boomerang aerial on it, tinted it, silly sub with a sound system in it, Apple CarPlay, diplomatic flags, as you say, with the Duke flags on them, and private plates. And we really had one of those trips that you will cherish the memories of forever. Got it back, sold it to a really good guy up north who has similar kind of ambitions with it. It didn't go wrong. Paid absolutely fuck all for it. Sold it for less than it owed me, but I didn't care. It went to the right home, and it was a really, really, really fun thing. That
I remember seeing it and just thinking, that's.
Yeah, I think the Parisian reaction to it was the best bit about it. It's all well and good seeing people on Instagram, but there was they hate the English at the best of times, and to be so obnoxious with it felt good.
Good on you for doing that. And you're also a massive bike guy as well, aren't you? You compete in is it the Malle Mile?
I think competes I think we all just have a couple of beers and go out on go riding around the field. It's an amazing series of events. That we're off to the Malle Beach race in Margate in a couple of weeks. Robert and Johnny put those events on brilliantly nuts and completely. I think there's a lot of similarities in our businesses. There's a lot of it that's kind of like, right, well, this has happened, let's just do this instead. And they're so adaptable, especially on the beach race when the tide comes in, for instance. But they're a big shout out to them. They're fantastic boys. We're off to that, and we take a whole assortment of bikes. We really like our sort of 70s twin shock 2-stroke stuff. Things like Husky I bought a couple of years ago. It's almost too nice to take there, so I won't take that. I'm going to sell that. But and the 3-wheelers as well, the ATCs from the 80s. I love those.
Do you have a pink one?
I've got a pink 125M 4-stroke 87 and a 250 ES Bigfoot. And then the one I'm racing this year will be I took it last year as well. It's a 250R, which is the one that got like banned in America. So it's a 252-stroke twin. It's hilarious. Just drift it everywhere. And quite a knack to get it right, because you put your foot down behind the thing that everyone does, and the reason they got banned is you go to slow down. Being on a bike, you think to put your foot down, you'll immediately run up the back of your leg and snap your femur. So they're quite good fun, but you need to know how to keep them on two. If you can get it up on 2 wheels, you need to know how to keep it on 2 wheels. I'm not saying I'm an expert. Far from it. I had a big off a couple of years ago I had an argument with a tree on a 2-wheel dirt bike, and I was off a bike and. I was in a cast for a year, so that was a life lesson.
Broken arm was it?
Just completely. My bone tried to make a break for it, and I tried to make a sort of make love with a tree. That was good fun. Wouldn't recommend it, but I really lost my bottle after that. It's taken a while to get back on a bike.
I grew up riding mountain bikes, and trees are not fun to crash into.
I just don't know why. I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was.
I think 4 wheels is definitely safer than 2.
We've managed to do some numbers in 4 wheels, don't get me wrong.
I'm sure. I suppose touching on some of the other areas of the car market as well, what are your thoughts on electric cars? What are you any opinions there, or look in your eye?
I think there's, I can see the appeal, certainly with the tax relief and things like that, from a consumer's perspective. I think what's really interesting is the way they're being branded now, and the shift in it being a green vehicle. If you look at the way, things like when the Nissan Leaf came out and people were starting to drive Priuses, we're going back like 10, 15 years, it was primarily a kind of ecological narrative. And if you look at it now, it's more about, the ranges, or frankly, again, the tax relief, or people have to be a bit careful how they present them. But it's less and less becoming about the green side of it, because frankly it's been proven time and time again that these things aren't good for the environment. They've still got a massive impact, and as with modern cars on the whole, be it combustion engine or otherwise, their shelf life is so short that we can't sit here and pretend that these things are going to save the world. Frankly, the age-old cliche that it's all well and good having your Tesla plugged into a thing with the electric charger or whatever. What's powering that? And until we've got on top of that, therein lies the issue for me. You can then go down the route of getting twisted about how the batteries are made as well, which we could be here for hours talking about that. And yeah, I understand the concept. I think technologically phenomenal. So the best electric thing I've driven personally was one of the Taycan Turismo S things. Yeah. I loved it. Brilliant. Yeah, I really didn't want to like it. It's a brilliant car. I mean, really phenomenal to drive. Naturally, massively fast. But people who've bought anything electric will attest to the fact that they get in there all excited, thinking they're changing the world, and then go, "Oh, it's quoted a 300-mile range, and I'm still 100 miles from home, having to pull over again for another 2 hours." Wait of charging if the charger works, and I think we haven't got the infrastructure properly polished yet. Yeah. And yeah, the green benefits are all a bit farcical in my eyes. Yeah. I get it, but I don't get it. So I wouldn't own one. There you go.
You're not going to put a battery in the Testarossa or anything like that?
No, I saw that was done, and I was a bit like, good luck to the guys that did it, but not my bag.
That's fair enough. Have you got any exciting events sort of upcoming for Duke of London? Obviously, I suppose with the new premises, you're going to have a launch or anything that people can get involved in, or what's the?
Yeah, so we've currently, in full disclosure, we were due to open our new showroom, and still are, midsummer. As with any building projects, things take longer than anticipated. Yeah. One thing none of us foresaw, there's a issue with a greater problem with the sewage network in front of us, not the actual sewers per se. It's a new connection that needs to be made in front of our unit. Yeah. That's nothing to do with us. It just feeds basically the rest of Brentford. Yeah. And that's taking the Thames Water and whoever else a hell of a lot longer to get in than we planned. So unfortunately that's going to have a bit of an impact on us. It won't stop us from opening and it won't stop us from trading, but it won't be as finished as we'd have liked it to have been. So that's a bit of a shame. But we'll be opening our new event space and hosting our first couple of car meets in about a month's time. Okay. Our new storage facilities, we've taken, we're basically tripling our capacity for storage over what we've already got. So we're rehousing all of our existing storage clients' cars. Yeah. And then, I think we've got another 70 spaces on top of what 80 spaces on top of what we've already got between two other buildings. Yeah. So it's all in conjunction with the showroom as well, so they're all interlinked, which would be great. So it means people who are coming in to drop their cars off storage get the use of all of our facilities downstairs. So there'll be, we're carrying over the bar, the coffee shop. Yeah. There'll be a kind of clubhouse, meeting room, lounge for storage customers as well to utilise. Essentially much the same as this place. It's an open door policy. Okay. We're not funny about whatever, as long as people come in and respect the cars and behave themselves. We want people to come in and experience things, and I think it always takes people aback. People come stand by the shutter kind of nervously like, am I allowed in? It's like, there's signs everywhere saying please don't touch anything, but treat it like a kind of open museum, if you will. So we've got plans to have the event space, which we're announcing next week. So I won't say too much, but it's quite cool. Open from towards the end of May. Nice. That'll be open to the public from June. Yep. We have the first couple of trial events just to see the functionality of it. It's quite a quirky space. Yep. Storage from beginning of May, the first bigger site, and then the smaller satellite site will be towards the end of May. And showroom thereafter. So still very much be actively selling cars. We still have a showroom space as well. It's not going to be like, we have to give up selling cars for a while, far from it. But it's going to be a little while longer than we'd hoped to get the bar and the coffee shop and everything else open, which is fine. We'll adapt, we always do. We work with some great local food truck vendors as well, so for all of our events, catering and stuff won't be an issue. We've got Plonker's Bar, our bar that was based in here and will be based in the new showroom. We've managed to put that into one of our beautiful Georgian office buildings, so that's in there on a pop-up basis for the next few months. So we're just trying to keep the momentum of everything going. Lots planned, lots of change, and again the new space itself being a longer term deal with doing to a whole new rebranded finish, so it's going to be a big step up for us. I was going to say, sort of, have you what do the next sort of 5 years look like for Duke of London? Have you thought that? Do you have a vision for that? Or? I mean we kind of frankly, I'm growing up now to the point where I'm having to think about things like this. Whereas when we took this place on, we couldn't think about stuff because of the nature of our sort of short-term tenure here. But we've got plans to expand. Frankly, we don't need to reinvent the wheel and take over the world either. Our creative workspaces are actively expanding. The film location stuff we're starting to formalise into more of an agency. So that's kind of the business side of that's all being built at the moment. And car storage, we're taking on more sites still, in addition to what we are opening in the next couple of months. The demand for it with our existing clientele is sufficient to keep us ticking over. There's other people in the area, but I think where we've got the facilities and people kind of know us for the kind of community aspect of it helps. And then we've got the sales side of it is continuing to grow. We have had to date our best year in terms of volume so far, best quarter ever last quarter in terms of volume. Again, prices are down, but we just want to keep metal moving. We want stuff coming in and out. We don't want to undersell anything, but we want to keep buoyant in terms of what's in the showroom, keep it interesting for people visiting. It's nothing worse than going past somewhere and seeing the same dozen cars sat in there month in, month out. We've been there, it's depressing to look at ourselves. So it's I kind of want to get this space opened and then grow into it. So within 5 years we'll be in a position where we've got that. Not self-sufficient, it's always going to need its input, but I'd like some time off as well at some point. Just a holiday would be lovely, and I think Georgia would appreciate that.
Well, Italy in the
it's a weekend.
No,
a weekend in Italy, but something a bit longer than that.
I was actually going to end on a few quickfire questions. Okay, you've got 10k to spend on a car. What are you buying?
10k today. I'm buying a P38 Range Rover.
Okay.
Selfishly, I love mine. 3 of the boys at work have since bought them. They love theirs. Lots of friends are getting into them. The late 4 litres are ULEZ compliant. Fine, they go wrong, but they're actually pretty inexpensive to fix as well.
Oh, really?
It's kind of a misconception. The air suspension's kind of the biggest Achilles heel on them. You either convert them to coils or $2,500. You just change everything once and it then works. And I think they're still great value. They feel modern to drive. I like the L322 as well, but I think that the P38's just got a bit more character, and the classics are twice the price. So I think they've got some room to grow.
Good answer. Dream 3-car garage. If you had to, I don't know.
That's tricky. Today.
As of right,
as of right now. I think just because of my love for it, and like I feel a sort of a loyalty to it. That Test Rossa, I'd love to put it on throttle bodies. That's why if I do end up keeping it forever, it's going on ITBs, and we'll have some fun with the brakes and stuff on it. But so that car, that dream car, something to cruise around in. I'd love something like 300 SL Roadster, something sort of pretty and cruisery and posy. I just love those. And then something silly. I love a CLK GTR. It'd have to be a Roadster. It would have to be a Roadster. But there you go. There's 3 cars.
Okay, nice. And favourite car you have in stock right now?
Favourite car I have in stock right now would be. Where are we? This is a tricky question. It's like choosing your children. What is my favourite car we have in stock right now? Lamborghini Silhouette.
Okay. Is that?
It's downstairs.
Okay.
I haven't yet launched that yet. It's going through prep, but it's it's a special car. That.
Okay. I'm going to go down and have a look at it. What's your biggest car buying regret? Either a car that you have bought.
How long have you got?
Well, it could be a car that you bought and wish you hadn't, or a car that you had the opportunity to buy and sort of missed out on and thought, oh, what if I,
I think my most expensive day at Goodwood was probably my biggest regret, which was I bought a car off of a certain art car man, and he delivered it the night before. I drove it. It was an Alpha 75 with a twin spark in it that someone had put a turbo on, seemingly tried and tested. I'm not throwing him under the bus. He'd owned it for 5 minutes himself, and did 2 laps of Goodwood in it, and it threw a rod out the side of the block. So that's probably. I think I lost about $7,000 in a day. That was quite good.
That'll do it.
So I'll go with that one. It was a great looking thing. It it had like this Sriracha livery on it. And I sold it to a friend of mine. He's going to build it back up and whatever else. But I'll go with that one.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Merlin, thank you so much for your time.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in the next episode.